Alright, I'm back at it again, and I want to do another, fat acceptance, fat logic reaction video. And this time I'm doing something a little different. I pre-picked 4 videos, so I know they're all acceptable, and we're going to react to them live. Now, I haven't seen these all the way through. It's been like 2 weeks since I've watched them and picked them out, so I don't remember much of the content at all. So, it's anyone's guess what I'm going to say about these, but, we're going to do the reaction thing. Let's stop with the intro and get right into it. Alright, so I've got the first video pulled up in my little video viewer thing. I will edit it so it's not like you don't get all the screen stuff, but here's the first one. It looks like it's from a podcast. I don't remember what they said. I just watched it, thought this would be good to react to, and downloaded it. So, let's watch.
And this is like maybe a controversial take, but I don't think that the majority of fat people, until you learn about body liberation and body positivity, no one would choose to continue to be fat in a world where they absolutely hate fat people. People think that
I do believe that in some point, in some way, severe morbid obesity is a choice. And I know you're gonna hate to hear it, but you have control over what you eat and what you do. If you overeat and you choose to make that decision every single day, your obesity is your choice. And I know it can feel like a struggle, especially if you form emotional dependence on food, you use it to regulate emotions, and there's just all the emotions behind food. I get it, it's hard. I stress eat. I still stress eat, and I don't think I'll ever not stress eat, but the difference is knowing or finding alternate coping mechanisms and alternate ways to regulate your emotions. For me, I use exercise, I knit, I draw, I have other things that help me regulate emotions. So instead of just relying on food, find something else. And if you find something in your life that's really causing this problem or that makes you want to overeat, try to find a way to eliminate that. Trust me, eliminate the triggers is really helpful. And on her second point, where people hate fat people, I personally think, I know some people could say I hate fat people because I want them to lose weight, but it's not that. I want them to live longer. I want them to get healthy. I want them to be comfortable in their own body, and I want them to live a life without all of the comorbidities that come with obesity. I may come off as the jerk for saying the truth, but that's it. That's the truth. And there are people who are just jerks. They subconsciously treat you different or consciously treat you different. Like they may hold the door open less for you, or they may be more snide. And yeah, it happens. People are jerks. But the vast majority of people aren't doing it consciously. And honestly, you can change your life if you really don't like it. It's gonna be hard, but it's possible to do.
Glorifying obesity by spreading the word and like telling everybody about this information. Trust me, I wouldn't recommend anybody be fat in this world. It is horrible. It is so traumatizing. It is so isolating.
I can see it being isolating because when you are heavier, especially at like this woman's size, your mobility starts to drop and it hurts to go out. It's exhausting. You have to sit down a lot and rest. Your joints hurt, your knees hurt, you get hot easily and sweaty, and it's just a lot harder to get out of the house. So you do tend to stay home and isolate yourself even more. So yeah, being extremely overweight can be isolating. And when you are that heavy, your emotions tend to be all out of disarray. So you may be crabby more often, you may be grumpy more often, you may be sad, or you may have all these emotions and you may be more turbulent as a person, which would drive people away. So there's that too. So I do believe obesity is a disease of isolation. It causes people to move away and cause you to recede back into your own self, and it's very isolating. I completely understand. I see this all the time on My 600 Pound Life, where people literally, they sit at home alone all day, and the only time they see people is when their friends and family come to bring them fast food. They'll bring fast food, drop off, go. And it's just like, the only people they see are maybe their caretaker, and maybe if they have kids or a wife or a husband or whatever, they'll see that. And that's it. That's the only people they'll see. They never get out of the house. So yeah, obesity is very isolating. Now, traumatizing, I think she's being over dramatic here. Traumatizing is something that causes permanent psychological effect. Someone being rude to you because you're fat isn't trauma. It's just upsetting. Being upset and being traumatized are completely different things. Trauma is watching someone die in a car accident and feeling survivor's guilt, not being upset because someone told you to lose weight. So it's just a pet peeve of mine when people use things like triggered and traumatized, things that go along with severe mental illness, when what they really mean is they were upset or offended. So that's just a pet peeve of mine. And I'm probably going to point it out every time I see it, because that's just who I am. Come on, don't use mental illness words if you're not mentally ill. Just a personal preference of mine. And I know there's a lot of people who would agree with me, and a lot of people who would disagree with me. Which one are you? Say it in the comments down below. I'm really curious.
People are evil, they are cruel. Strangers think it's okay to tell you on the bus, you're fat, you should lose weight, you're disgusting. Like, it's non-stop, and that leads to people isolating themselves and like seeking comfort through food.
Okay, so she literally covered in that last sentence all the points I just made. Yeah, people are jerks. I get comments all the time because I'm a butch woman and I'm really short and muscular and I'm covered in tattoos, so I get comments all the time about stuff like that. Now, people are jerks, especially on public transit. If you're taking up more than one seat, or you're taking up more resources than everybody else for the same price, people are going to get kind of pissy about it, because imagine if I paid one price for one seat, you pay one price for one seat, but you take up two seats. That's just not fair, and I can understand people being pissy about it and seeking comfort through food. Don't let negative experiences create a negative spiral of behavior. People are going to be jerks no matter what you do. If you wear makeup, they're going to be like, you wear too much makeup. If you don't wear makeup, they're like, you should wear makeup. Everything you do, someone's going to have an opinion on. So the key is to stop caring about other people's opinions and just live your life. And like, do what's best for your health, physically and mentally, as well as what's good for your friends and your family. And the only people whose opinions matter are those in your inner circle, so your closest friends and family. If they say you're fat, there's a problem, they're not coming from a place of being rude and just grumbly and a jerk. They're coming out of a place of concern, and they want you to lose weight so that way you don't suffer from the ill health effects, and that way you live a longer, healthier life and can be more present and more active with them. So yeah, I had a fair bit to say about this one. Very good. On to the next clip.
There's stigma that I have to deal with because
this classic one. I've seen this clip all over the internet. This one's an oldie but a goodie. And I have a lot to say about this. It's a 2-minute long clip, so we'll try to watch as much as possible.
I am fat, but I'm actually really in celebration of my body. I find beauty in diversity. I think we come in all shapes and sizes. And the assumption that we've dealt with a lot on this show is that just because you're obese, you must overeat. You must have an eating disorder.
So, yeah, you don't get to be her size, you don't get to be that big. Unless you're eating 5, 6, 7,000 calories a day. And trust me, if you're eating whole, healthy, reasonable foods, do you know how hard it is Like, I have had so much food volume today, and I'm at like 1,800 calories. I had a huge bowl of popcorn, a mountain of rice and veggies, a chicken thigh. I had a big old bowl of ratatouille, a banana, a yogurt. I've had an apple, and I also had 2 cucumbers, 2 whole like bushels of celery, and I'm still in a huge calorie deficit. It's like, if you're eating whole foods, you can eat like crazy and not be overweight because the food is not as energy dense, and it's more voluminous, and it's actually more nutrient dense than the prepackaged junk food. Fun fact. So you get more bang for your buck, I think. It's so yes, her statement where the assumption that fat people eat more, it's not an assumption. It's scientific fact. Energy, you cannot spontaneously, fat cells in your body are stored energy. That energy doesn't come from nowhere. You can't just spontaneously create energy. That is breaking the laws of the universe. It has to come from somewhere, and you can't get it from thin air, and usually the energy in fat comes from food. Excess food is stored in the form of fat. So therefore, if you have that body fat on you, you've consumed way too much energy. So you don't get to be her size without overeating, and I can only imagine the kind of food and the quantity you would have to eat to get to her size. It would be ludicrous. I would have to exert myself to get to that point. So it is not an assumption, it is fact. Just putting it out there.
I know that not to be the case. I know you can have a healthy relationship.
Now, Mimi, you say this is misleading. Go have at it a little bit.
Well, I certainly think that we all want to feel good about ourselves. That's understandable. I don't think people should feel demeaned by their size. And I also couldn't agree more with the message of daily exercise. No matter what size you are, you'll certainly benefit from daily exercise.
So far, the blonde glasses work girl, 100% agree. Daily exercise. Get activity in. If you work a desk job and you sit at your desk all day, then you go home and sit on your couch all day, dude, you're not getting enough activity. Humans are persistence predators. We're descended from hunters, gatherers, farmers. Our bodies are meant to do work and move all day, every day. And if you're not getting activity in, you're not being a functional human. I truly believe, even if it's just a 15 to 30 minute walk around the block, it is beneficial to get activity in. It doesn't have to be exercise. It can just be movement. It can just be going for a walk, cleaning your house. But being up on your feet, doing stuff, no matter what size you are, assuming you are able-bodied and capable to stand. I know there are people out there who do it. I have to put that little out there because there's always going to be someone raging in the comments. My watch. Pokemon Go is telling me stuff. I take off my watch for dry skin reasons, but I digress. So, yeah. Just, you need activity. And assuming you're able-bodied and can stand and move around, get as much activity as you can handle. And you don't have to go balls to the wall like I do, where I do 16-mile runs followed by, and then and then after the run, I clean my house and cook dinner. You don't have to be all crazy like that. I am ridiculous. And I now work an active job, so it's like I'm pretty much going and going and going all day. You do not have to be like that, but humans are built to do that. So if you think a 30-minute walk is too much, then you need to reevaluate and readjust. Because 30 minutes is nothing. I can do hours. Humans can do hours. We're persistence predators. We literally evolved to walk at a moderate pace until our prey is so exhausted it collapses and can't go anymore, at which point it's an easy kill. So it's like, biologically, we're meant to just go. Just being honest. So if you work a sedentary job, you need to get up on your feet. At least a little. Alright, let's continue.
be healthy without that. But then let's talk about where we disagree. Look, if you want to feel good about yourself, it's impossible to feel good about yourself when you're doing something that's self-destructive.
Triggered. Yeah, saying this stuff to really adamant fat activists really pisses them off. You can just see the rage in their eyes. A thin woman is telling me obesity is unhealthy. Because it is. And you know, they're probably upset because they deep down know it's true and they deep down feel the impacts of their weight.
Those self-destructive behaviors that result in damage or debilitation or even disfigurement to the body, that's never going to be perceived as beautiful.
The thing is that I think that the HAES approach, the health at every size approach, has been documented to
I
work.
love how she says documented to work, but she doesn't specify work anything. And I've seen this clip like 1,000 times. You've probably seen this clip like 1,000 times. But the glasses lady, I don't know her name, and I probably will never know it, says, what do you mean documented to work? Work is in make people feel good, or work is in make people ignore their problems? The only time I would see health and the intuitive eating working is if you have a restrictive ED, at which point you need less food rules and more, I want to eat a donut, I'm going to eat a donut. You need more of that because you have too much restriction. But if you're her size or bigger or just, overweight and you can't intuitively eat, unfortunately. And it's hard to intuitively eat and not gain a ton of weight in the American food environment because go to the grocery store. There's the produce section, the butcher and the meat section. And then I guess there's some good stuff in the frozen section, like frozen veggies and frozen fruit. But other than that, the entire grocery store is pretty much all just ultra-processed foods and candy and junk. And it's like, if you just intuitively eat whatever sounds good, you're gonna gain weight. Trust me, I can intuitively eat an entire box of Oreos. Easily. Especially the new Reese's flavor that came out. Those things are freaking delicious. But it's like, I can intuitively eat an entire box of Cheez-Its. It's these, when their food is engineered to be as craveable and unsatisfying as possible, you can't intuitively eat it. It overrides your body's satiation cues. It overrides your hunger cues. It overrides your mentality. It's so easy to just snack and snack and snack. So yeah, if you're eating fruits, veggies, and like whole meats, lean proteins, whole grains, yeah, you can intuitively eat pretty good. That stuff will actually trigger your hunger cues the way it's supposed to. But anything else, you're gonna put on a lot of weight.
And it's been documented to work year after year.
What do you mean work? What do you mean work? Because a health at every size is a lie. If you starve yourself into damage, that's unhealthy. Or if you eat yourself into damage, that's not healthy.
You're making a lot of assumptions.
That's just not.
Making a lot of assumptions. You're making a lot of assumptions. Yeah. Because these assumptions are made off of medical fact. I'm sorry, I'm feeling spicy today. But, yeah. Either end of the spectrum, severely underweight, severely overweight, if you do something that is destructive to your body, it is not beautiful. It is not something that should be glorified. It should be treated as the disease that it is. Because there's a range that humans should exist at, because the more tissue your body has, the harder your heart has to pump to oxygenate that tissue. If you don't have enough fat or muscle, your body can't function properly and your heart could give out. So either way of the spectrum, you need, there's a certain spectrum, range that the human body can exist at. And the BMI is relatively accurate. If it says you're underweight, you're underweight. If it says you're overweight, this is the overweight category, I'd say, is the gray area. If you're like me, I'm extremely muscular. It says I'm overweight. I think I could lean out and lose weight and get to the healthy range. I think that's entirely within the realm of possibility. But it's not entirely impossible that I stay overweight. But, so if you're overweight, your BMI says you're overweight, but the mirror says you're jacked, you're jacked. But if the BMI says you're obese or heavier, there's a problem. It doesn't matter how much muscle you have. Your body should not be that heavy. There's joint issues, heart issues, just, even if it's muscle, you shouldn't be that heavy. It's not healthy.
That's not true.
You're making
that's
a
like
lot of
saying that's like saying
about
that
weight.
let's
being
say you were a
self-destructive.
smoker. Let's say you're a smoker and have black lungs, and you try to say that's healthy because you don't have cancer yet. We know that it is actually factual that obesity is dangerous, and it's connected to cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's. We even know it's connected to an increase in birth defects. So there's nothing left to debate.
Amy?
It's not beautiful. It's not healthy.
So, yeah. The woman with the long blonde hair and glasses is completely right. It's a fact of medical science. It doesn't matter what your feelings feel. But the good news is, if you're in that situation, you can change your mindset, you can change your life, you can make changes. It's just going to be hard and take time. Trust me. I have lost about 40 pounds, and it took me around a year and a half to get that far. I wasn't in at first I was losing a pound and a half a week. Now I'm down to maybe a half pound a week. So it will slow down as you get closer to your ideal weight, but it is possible to change your mindset and change your life in a way that gets you the results you want. Alright, on to the last clip.
Fat people existed before fast food restaurants. Fat people existed before processed and ultra-processed foods. Fat people existed before the Industrial Revolution. Fat people existed before the United States was colonized. Fat people existed before 16th century Europe. Fat people have existed across many cultures for all of time, and this is proven time and time again with archaeological artifacts and art and stories.
So, she is 100% right. Fat people I'm pretty sure they have existed as long as we've had farming. Because but back before ultra-processed food, before fast food restaurants, fat people weren't the norm. They were considered outliers. And it was considered, honestly, during like the medieval ages and stuff, and like ancient history, being obese, they knew it was unhealthy, but it was a sign of extreme wealth, because back then we didn't have ultra-processed food. The food wasn't calorie dense. It was only stuff made with whole grains, whole food ingredients. So if you were obese back then, that meant you were so incredibly rich that you could spend your entire day eating, and that meant you had the money to, one, buy the food, because there's no way you were producing that much food by yourself. And if you were producing the food by yourself, you'd be burning a ton of calories. 2, you could sit around all day and just eat. 3, you could pay someone to get and produce the food for you. So, yeah, back then it was considered a sign of wealth. Now it's considered a sign of ill health. You know, it's considered lazy. I'm gonna be honest, it is considered lazy. It's considered all these negative things. And that's because it is so easy to get your hands on extreme amounts of calorie-dense, nutrient-poor food and just stuff your face with it all day. It's easier to do that now than it is to be lean. So it's the considered wealthy and stuff flipped. And I understand some healthy foods can be more expensive, but it is possible to eat healthy on a budget.
Beauty standards. Some fat people are vegans. Some fat people exercise every day. Some fat people are in perfect health. Some fat people.
Stop. Fat people can exercise every day. You can't outrun a bad diet. And you can be any weight and be a vegan. You can be keto and overweight. It's not about what you eat. It's about how much. And what was she saying? She said you can be healthy and overweight. You can be obese and not have any medical conditions or the comorbidities, but typically people who are like that are often in their 20s and young. And I would not consider those people healthy because of the risks that come with that severe amount of food or that severe amount of weight. There's so many health risks. Even if you don't have any of them now, it doesn't mean you won't in the future. It doesn't mean you're at higher risk for it. If you can avoid preventable illness and you don't try to, I think that is just a failing on your part. And it's like, I don't want to have black lung or lung cancer, so I don't smoke because I don't want to deal with that. That's like smoking and saying, I don't have lung cancer yet, like the woman in the last clip, you know?
People have fat parents and fat grandparents and fat kids, both openly and secretly. Fat women are
Okay,
deeply...
so yeah, the generational fatness thing, it's not genetics. A lot of people claim it's genetics. It is bad habits being passed down from generation to generation. If you eat nothing but ultra-processed junk food, and then you have kids, and you continue eating the same way, your kids are going to see that and eat the same way you're going to eat because you're buying them the food, you're feeding them. Like, for example, I have a younger brother. We have a decent age gap, about 16 years, because half-brother. When I was an older teen, he was a baby. He was just starting to eat solid foods. So we just put the food on his plate. And we'd say nothing about it. We'd be like, here's your vegetables, buddy. And he'd see us eating it. Because, like, you know. And he would go, they're eating it. Might as well try it. And he would eat it. And now, we can't have Olive Garden salads with tomato in it. Because even if we order it with extra tomato and tomato on the side, he still eats all of the tomatoes. So, yeah, food habits are passed down from generation to generation. If you eat healthy, odds are you're going to be feeding your kids healthy, and they're going to be eating healthy. So they're going to go off to an adult, and then they're going to eat healthy, and then they're going to raise their kids healthy. It's generational habits, not genetics.
Desired. BBW is among the highest search terms across all of those kinds of websites. Despite what the Make America Healthy Again and Thinspo and diet culture people want, fat people live fulfilling, wonderful, long lives.
I wouldn't say long. A lot of there is tons of cases of fat activists dying in their 40s and 50s, and some even younger. So I wouldn't call that a long life. Living to your 80s and 90s is long life. And sitting around just making angry TikToks and eating all day doesn't sound very fulfilling to me. I mean, something will be full. I mean, yeah. But I don't think it's as fulfilling as they think it is. And it's like you don't know what you're missing until you actually, go out and experience it. Like, this week, I'm not going to be doing much exercise, but going for runs is like, I get to see stuff. Like, the other day, I was like mesmerized because I saw run across the street in front of me a black and red squirrel. You don't see those commonly where I live, and it's just like, oh, you don't see those every day. And it's just like, I get fulfillment by going out and seeing stuff, interacting with people, and that's something that a lot of these fat activists don't get. They just sit in their bubble angry all the time. And it seems kind of not fulfilling. They don't seem very fulfilled from what I see. But, it is what it is. So that was the last clip I had picked out. I had picked out a fourth one, started watching it, and realized I already reacted to it. Because, of course I did. I have the weirdest, most specifically spotty memory on the planet. I can remember what I said to somebody 3 months ago in passing, but I can't remember a video I watched 2 days ago. It's like, it's ludicrous. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun filming this. I'm really enjoying the reaction style content. It is just so enjoyable to watch. And comment what you think about it, if you agree with me, disagree with me, or have a secret third opinion. There's more than 2 opinions out there. But yeah, and honestly, if you like this kind of content and you want to learn about weight loss, fat acceptance reaction, and running, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be making all sorts of fitness adjacent content, so I'm going to figure out what works. These reactions are going to be still a regular fixture. I enjoy filming them, but I'm gonna come up with some other kind of content as well. So subscribe if you sound interested in any of that. And before I ramble for too much longer, I'm gonna say goodbye, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one.